We have witnessed firsthand the violence, the corruption, and chaos that have forced migrants from their homes. We've shared the suffering of those seeking safety and security at our borders. We know the pain of mothers who have had their children ripped from their arms, and fathers who have been disappeared, detained, and deported while they tried to provide for their families. So as Catholic sisters and as people of faith, we condemn the Trump administration's actions to hold children in cages, to imprison families, to use detention as a deterrent and punishment for those who are seeking safety in our country. We've heard the outrage of people of faith across this nation. We've listened to the voices of immigrant communities, and we've responded to the call to speak loudly and act decisively to stop the inhumanity perpetrated by the Trump administration on families and children. That's why we've joined other national Catholic organizations to mount the campaign to ensure the humane treatment of immigrant children by ending once and for all child detention and family detention. That's why we've sought to engage more Catholics in willing action to end detention and the policies and the inhumane policies and practices of this administration, and to end it now. So we're a coalition of 13 Catholic organizations, each of which has been accompanying immigrant communities and working on various elements of immigration policy for a very long time. Like each of you, we strive to witness to the gospel, to actualize the truth of Catholic social teaching, and to live out Pope Francis' exhortation to welcome, protect, promote, and integrate migrants and refugees. So many of you joined us on July 18th in Washington, D.C. for our first ever Day of Action for Immigrant Children. We gathered on the Capitol lawn. I don't think there were this many people there, quite honestly. We were about 250. You all look to be a whole lot more. We gathered to listen to the voices of the children, to pray for them, to beg forgiveness for our own complicity in their suffering, and to call on our government to stop the inhumanity. We took our cry for care for the children and justice for immigrants to the halls of Congress, where we prayed and witnessed. We called the names of 7 children, immigrant children, who have died as a result of the negligence of our government. We carried their pictures in our arms, and we carried them in our hearts. 70 among us refused police commands to end our prayer and leave the rotunda. We were arrested as we demanded compassion, demanded justice for children. It was the least we could do. So the struggle continues today, here, now, in Newark, where we've joined our efforts to those of the many local groups who've been at this much longer than we. And we join tens of thousands across this nation who are outraged at the horrific treatment of immigrant children and families by our own government. The mistreatment of children, the separation of families, the denigration and detention of our immigrant brothers and sisters done in our name must stop. No more, not now, not ever, never, not in our name. So that's why we're here today, and that's why we invite Catholics and all people of goodwill to join us in Newark today, in October in El Paso. That's why we say loudly and clearly to President Trump, to his administration, to his allies in Congress, and to those in state and local governments who are complicit, stop the inhumanity, stop it now. No more detention of children, no more detention of families, no more detention of our immigrant brothers and sisters, not in our name, not now, not ever, not in our name. Amen.
No more detention! No more detention! No more detention! detention! No more 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 detention!
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Okay? I'm Sergeant Armstead from Newark Police. Just to make you aware, you cannot completely block the sidewalk that obstructs public passage, okay? What actually occurs is that it creates a hazardous condition in which pedestrians have to walk off of the sidewalk and into the street. So what I'm doing is I'm going to instruct you where you're going to stand, okay? All right. For the crowd that's on the ramp up here, can that officer raise his hand for me? Okay. I need some of you to back up all the way to that officer to create a path in order for pedestrians to pass on the sidewalk. So all the people that's on the ramp, do me a favor, start walking backwards towards that officer. I need a couple more people as well, all right?
All right.
Well, no, I need everyone to start just going back, all right? Okay, for the people that's right here to my left, can you slide over for me, please? Thank you. For the people, to the people that's to my right, can you slide over for me, please? For the people that's to my left, can you do me a favor? Can you slide back a little bit to create a path where the crosswalk is open? So this way we can allow other pedestrians to pass and go about their business to conduct their daily activities or whatever daily business that they have. So that means that everyone behind me, I need you to move back. Officer that's up top, can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor, officer that's up top? Can you come down and start directing people up the ramp towards you a little bit? Come down the ramp, come down the ramp and start explaining to people to move back, okay? All right. I wish everyone a peaceful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The officer's gonna instruct you. Start moving people back, okay? All right.
Close the camps! 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 Close the camps!
Thank you everyone for coming today. My name is Kathy O'Leary. I'm with Pax Christi, New Jersey. I've been standing here for about 12 years. I happen to know how long I've been standing here because that's how old my son is. When I was 5 months pregnant with my son, Father Gene Squio, who's here today, came to my church. And he told a story about one of his parishioners. Her name's Mary Liddy. And I know a lot of you know this story. Mary Liddy got a pre-dawn visit from ICE. They took her from her family. They took her from her infant child who she was breastfeeding, and they placed her in the Elizabeth Detention Center. Now, being 5 months pregnant and hormonal, and planning on breastfeeding my own child, this story had a profound effect on me. This is one of the rare times that I'm able to tell this story without breaking into tears. 12 years later. The powers of our community, the stories of our community have great power. This past year, I had the great blessing to meet Mary Liddy. And I got to tell her just how powerful she was. That half of the people that are standing here today have heard her story and have been motivated to act. So for all of you who have been standing here longer than me, thank you, thank you, thank you. And for all of you who are new to this cause, welcome. What I want you to know, the people who are new here, the people who are from out of state, out of the area. Yes, the death of children is a tragedy that cries out to the heavens. But we should have known that this was going to happen. We have been watching for decades adults die in detention under conditions that are horrible, inhumane, and unsanitary and unsafe. That's not just our characterization of those conditions. The conditions in the Essex County Jail, which is only a few miles from where we stand today, were characterized that way by the current DHS just a few months ago. New Jersey is a border state. New Jersey has a major port of entry at the Newark airport. We have 4 detention centers. We detain 2,500 people. They are all children of God. They are all worthy of our prayers. They are all worthy of our advocacy. None of them deserve the treatment that they are subject to. These people are held in county jails. You should also know that the conditions for the detainees could possibly even be a little bit better than the conditions for the criminal inmates in those jails. And they are children of God too.
Children of God.
What I also want you to know is do not put your faith in an election. I have been standing here since the Bush administration. And an election has never changed the conditions in detention. What changes the conditions in detention are all of you. What changes the laws are all of you.
Yes.
What will change people's hearts are all of you.
Yes.
So I want to give a shout out to the Sisters of Charity of St. Elizabeth, who I know came here on a bus, because they're from my alma mater, St. Elizabeth. And what I learned, one of the many things I learned there, not just a keen sense of social justice, but one of the many things I learned there was about the universal call to holiness. We are all called to be holy. We are all called to act. And we are all called to use our prophetic voice. We are so blessed here in New Jersey to have so many prophets in our midst. Father Gene Squillo is one of them. Father Jack Martin is another. Sister Jacinta Fernandez, Edie Cheney. There's so many people. I could go on and on that have stood here. Tony Malone, Father Luigi Zanotto. I could go on.
Go on.
Listen for those prophets. Listen to God speaking to you through those prophets. You will be lucky if there are a few times in your life when you know that God is speaking directly to you. And when Jean came to my church on that day, I knew that God was speaking to me.
Amen.
Listen today to the people who are speaking. Open your hearts. Allow yourself to be changed. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to stand up in front of a crowd. You will not be the most popular person at your parish. You will probably not be asked to chair the Christmas bazaar. But I don't really risk that much from standing here. The people who are crossing borders, the people who are trying to stay here, are risking everything for their children. Please remember that. And carry their stories with you. But before I end, I just want to tell you about Maria Gomez. She reported to ICE this morning. Thankfully, she was sent home.